retweeting.
Okay, we should be live now. So, hello everyone, my name is Mario Peshev. I'm the lead of the WordPress Developers Community on Google+. So we're having our casual WordPress Developers Hangout. Today our guest is David Bisset, who is going to present a couple of nice things about WordPress and about his experience with WordPress. Hi David.
Hello sir, how you doing?
Doing good, thank you. So,
I've had coffee today.
Yeah, had you? How's the coffee this morning?
Oh, I was terrible, but I'm awake, and I need to be awake. I should probably stop talking now.
That's completely okay. So, yeah, I mean, the WordPress Developers Hangout is fairly informal. So I'd like to ask you at first, what do you do for a living?
I'm a full-time freelancer. I work out of my home in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I've been doing that for, God, I've been doing that for ages. I'm old, but I've been doing that for almost a decade now. And I do, WordPress is all that I do, and I specialize in WordPress. It's the majority of my work, but I also do highly customized WordPress themes for particular sorts of clients. You know, customized themes that usually aren't distributed to the public. They're usually built to last a couple of years for particular clients. So that's primarily what I do.
So when was the first time you started using WordPress actively?
Oh, God. I think I started with WordPress. Yeah, I started with WordPress when 1.5 came on the scene, which was early 2005. So
yeah.
It's been a long time.
So can you share some of the projects that you enjoy doing, or some particular projects that you liked and you worked on?
Ooh, projects that I like doing. I think they're always the projects I love doing the best are the ones that make me learn about new industries. So I don't usually have a focus on I'm just doing financial websites or I'm just doing these types of websites. There's the joy in being a freelancer is that you hopefully get to be able to pick and choose your projects. I would say though that a lot of the projects that I like doing are ones that have some sort of social application to them or social layer to them. So that goes perfectly in line with me being a BuddyPress developer too. So I'd say social, websites that use the social layer intelligently is what I like to work with.
So you're quite popular in the BuddyPress community. Would you like to share some of the larger projects that you've worked on, like a project that had quite a few neat features, something more specific, like things that you can't see in most of the social websites that are out there built on WordPress?
Well, first of all, me saying I don't think it's fair to say that I'm popular. I don't like to. I'm because there's a lot more people that are a lot more popular than me. I just happen to just weasel my way into the community and just start talking loud. So eventually, it kind of only seems like I'm popular. But a lot of this, there's been a couple of projects. I do a lot of projects involving intranets, and I do a lot of projects with startup companies. So it's kind of hard to talk about my latest projects because a lot of that stuff is still under some sort of clause that the client has to release this to the public, and I can't talk about it until it's released to the public, or it's going to be it's an intranet, so I can't. There's usually not a public way I can show those well. But there have been several sites. One of them has been trainerspace.com, where it's been up for a while, and the client has managed it for a while, but it's essentially the same site as where I left it. So trainerspace.com is a website that you can you're supposed to be able to find trainers in your area. So you type in a zip code, or you type in a city, and it actually brings up it's actually a Bing map. For some reason they didn't want to use Google Maps. So it was a Bing map of markers, customized markers of where these trainers are, physical trainers that are in your particular area. So if you type in Boca Raton, Florida, you see the number of people that are in that area, and each one of those people is a user on the WordPress site, and they have a BuddyPress profile. They have all these extra components that have been added, and these trainers pay money to be included on the site. So there's a social, or there's an e-commerce element also to the site that we built into the BuddyPress. So you register and you get a year's worth of subscription, and that keeps your membership active through BuddyPress, and you're able in BuddyPress to control your user account information and follow people and message people and upload photo galleries, that sort of thing. So I thought that was really interesting, and it was been shown off a few times as an example of how to do a directory map geographical website with BuddyPress.
So how large is this website in terms of visits or number of users?
That I'm not sure, because I haven't been on the site for a couple of years, and it was actually a startup project when I handed it over to the client. So I don't have numbers per se yet, but it still exists, and I know the client is still working with it, so it must be profitable. Yeah, I don't know the numbers, but if it's still up, it's still generating something for them. So it's a pretty good deal. There's also been some of the examples of like private social networks I've done for vacation companies as well. So I'll probably think of more examples, and I'll be able to, as we keep talking. It's apparently the coffee is worn off.
Yeah, that's fine. Since you mentioned popularity, I couldn't help but remember about WPArmchair. So would you like to share us why did you decide to work on WPArmchair, and what was the idea behind it, and what was missing in the other social tools so that you decided to build it?
Okay, for those, yeah, it's not well known, so I should probably explain what it is first. WPArmchair is just simply a side project of mine where it's a WordPress theme and 3 plugins. What these plugins do is that they take in feeds from Twitter, Instagram, and Flickr, yeah, through the hashtags. And what the whole point is, you're supposed to be able to set this up on your WordPress site as a kind of like a conference tracker or a conference monitor. And this, exists in several different iterations on the internet. But what makes this nice and interesting is that it's not just showing you a list of tweets and pictures on your WordPress site. It's also capturing them all the data. So it actually dumps them and puts them into custom post types into WordPress for all the tweets and the photos and stuff. So at the end, if you're monitoring like a small to medium-sized conference, you have all the tweets and the photos there, in your WordPress installation, saved as media and custom post types. So it's important because you have a conference and you relax, and then 6 months later you decide, oh, I want to check out all the photos again. Well, Twitter may not necessarily have those photos for you anymore. They only go back so far. So it's a nice way of keeping track of things. I built it just because I thought it would be nice to have something like that on WordPress, and really, I thought it was a good way to monitor conferences, especially WordCamps, and WordCamps with WordPress, so that kind of made sense. There is, it's still being used today. I just put it up on a server, and apparently some people thought it was a really great idea. So I do occasionally get requests to put a WPArmchair site up for a particular WordCamp or a small conference. So if anybody is running a WordCamp, they can just ask me. I put it up. I give them full admin privileges, and they can use the site and customize the site however they want. And it was I just needed like a side project to learn more about theme development, learn more about trying to dust off some of my plugin skills. And this was over a year or 2 years ago, and since then I've gotten enough client projects now that I don't need no more side projects anymore. So it's kind of just it's currently sitting there, and I update it occasionally. So.
Since you mentioned client projects, one of the reasons I was quite impressed with your latest accomplishment was the fact that you mentioned that you work with European clients, and I find it pretty amusing in a good way. In terms of
good. Amusing in a good way.
That's right. Amusing in a good way, indeed. Well, it's interesting just because of the fact that most, since I live in Europe and my DevRix agency was based in Europe too, so most of the time European agencies that we work with together try to work with American clients. Well, for various reasons, there are different investment funds in the States that work quite well. Startups grow faster and everything like that in the States. This niche isn't quite developed in Europe, just in Berlin, in London, a few other cities, but it's starting to get together, but it's not the same as in the Silicon Valley or in New York or Boston. So I'm curious, how did it start? Like, what sort of projects do you work on for European clients? What sort of things do you build for them? How did you start doing it?
Well, yeah, I'm not the world's greatest marketer, so I wasn't trying to go after anybody in particular, especially outside the U.S. I think a lot of these projects, I think it's because of BuddyPress. The demand for excuse me. The demand for BuddyPress sites has been growing, I think, steadily over the past 2 years, more or less, in my opinion, based upon the number of requests that I get from fellow WordPress developers, fellow developers, and just people looking for projects to be done with WordPress. So I think that, which is great because, me as a BuddyPress developer, that just means, like more work for me. So therefore it kind of makes sense that it's going to be people all across the globe, especially in Canada and in Europe, and that's what I've been seeing lately, or being seeing recently. I've been doing work for those outside the U.S. for a little while, but it's just this year it's just been interesting because it's not just Canada now, but I'm currently working with a client in Switzerland, excuse me, and a couple of clients in the UK. So, and I've always had, it's mostly been Canada and the UK for a while, but now it's just it's been branching out a little bit, and sometimes I have to remind myself where these countries are on a map. I have to go, oh yeah, that's where that is. Oh yeah, because if it's not in the U.S., then us Americans are stupid that way. But so yeah, but they've been reaching out to me for the most part. It hasn't been a marketing effort necessarily, but I definitely have made it known because you're right. It is interesting that it's not too often that I got, before I worked with BuddyPress, that I got anybody really outside the U.S. One or two maybe from Canada, but that's about it. So I attribute it to BuddyPress, the success of, or at least the exposure of BuddyPress now. So I'm glad that that's actually happening, and I'm glad that these people have, that these are not small projects. These are considerable size projects with budgets and everything. So these are very legit people that are reaching out. So I'm happy. It's a happy thing. It's a nice thing to have. I don't know. Sometimes I have to figure out what the currency rate is, but other than that, it's fine. What were you saying?
Well, if it would make you feel better, we also have issues with the States. Most of Europe, like it's not always that easy to know where exactly some states are and the different time zone, So yeah.
Oh yeah, time zone stuff. That is. I actually like working with clients in Europe because the time is right. It's sometimes when you work late at night or you work early in the morning over here, it's perfect for that type of thing. So, and all of my work is remote. So, and the majority of all the clients that I have are not in my time zone. So, I'm kind of used to, planning and scheduling emails to try to hit people at the right time. So I like to be able to work or do work on projects or do particular work on some project at the same time my client is open or awake, and hopefully that he or she can respond to the quick messages on Skype or something like that. I've gotten used to the not in your time zone type of thing. I just assume people aren't in my time zone. So
you're also one of the organizers of WordCamp Miami. So how did you get involved with that? And also, since we're in the business subject still, is it related to some part of your business? Did you get some nice reference from the WordCamp? And like, how long did it take for you to set up the WordCamp? I know that it's kind of one of the largest WordCamps out there. I mean, especially in the States, it's quite popular. We had an anniversary like last issue, right?
Yep, 5 years, 5 long, agonizing, happy years. Happy.
Okay, so want to tell us more about it?
We started in 2009. It was actually me and a few other people, including John Jacoby, and it was we at that time. I think back in 2009. I mean, WordCamps were not a new thing. I think they were going on for at least 2 years, but you know, only the major cities were more or less were getting them, and we just decided one was needed in Miami. Miami is one of the biggest cities in the country and well known too. So we had about 200 people for our first WordCamp, and then last April, as you know, we had over 770. So we filled out. We wanted to see how big the WordPress community or the community in general in South Florida would be, and it's big. So we kind of solved that question. We solved how big, because I don't think we can get any bigger. In fact, I don't want to get any bigger. I think we had at least a 3-day WordCamp, and we also have been honored to host BuddyCamp for the past 2 years there as well. So if anybody's interested in BuddyPress, I mean, interested enough to be able to attend a conference, we have buddy camps. We'll probably do another buddy camp next year too. So it's something that people definitely want to keep in mind. And because the fact that it's South Florida, and because of the buddy camp factor, we had people visiting. We had a lot of out of town, out of country visitors from Europe and Canada and from around the U.S. So it was a very nice turnout. In terms of like, has it helped my business? Still there?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I had a ringing in my ears. I didn't know if I was me taking my medication or not. So I've always held the philosophy that the reason why you should organize or help or assist with meetups and WordCamps is because you want to get back to the community, and that was the primary reason why, at least I was involved in it, and the same reason why I'm doing it today with the WordCamps and the meetups that I organize as well. Time is money, so if I wasn't doing these, I mean, I could easily not do these things and just keep working or enjoy more time with my family, probably. But like many other people that contribute to Core, that organize other things, I do it because I want to get back to WordPress, and I want to expand my community. And my community in the past 5 years, I think it's been a net benefit, even for people who don't use WordPress. They can come to WordCamps with the low ticket prices and be able to learn about front-end development and learn about best business practice and all these things that are not directly related to WordPress. And that's a community win, even though they may not be going home and immediately jumping into WordPress when they get home. So sometimes we get as many as a third of the people at the WordCamps that's their first WordCamp. So I have no idea where the other third is coming from, or the other 2/3 are coming from. But yeah, I don't do it because of the business connections, and it has benefited me, I guess you could say, indirectly. But I mean, it's not like that I'm getting huge amount of referrals from doing it. I think it just adds an impressive line to a resume that when someone sees you're involved in the community passionately, they can kind of get a better feel on what kind of person you are. So if this person is passionate about WordPress, then this is definitely a plus for having that person work on a WordPress project with me. But I encourage everybody to, find that niche, or find that thing to add to your resume that may be beyond the coding factor. And I think it definitely does help you in the long run.
So
I hope that's what you asked. I hope that's what you asked, because now I can't remember.
Yeah, that's fine. You got me thinking about the other WordCamps that are happening. By the way, did you know that WordCamp Tokyo, I think, they had like 1,300 people last year?
Yeah, they are one of the. It's kind of like the worst kept secret or something along those lines. That Tokyo has a huge amount of, like, easily over 1,000, and I think their ticket prices are free too, which is also amazing. And there's a couple of factors that kind of go into that, but it's amazing what kind of their WordCamps over there are a bit different to what I'm used to here in the United States, and probably what some people are used to in Europe. But yeah, those are huge. I wouldn't want to do those. I wouldn't want to be a coordinator of one of those things. I think I would go insane. But yeah, and WordCamp Europe is going to have over, I think, 1,000 people this year. I know there are over 700 in attendance right now, I think.
Yeah, there are about 700 sold tickets right now, but we expect quite a few signing up last minute, especially the ones from Bulgaria, just because people do it like last minute just to see if there are any changes or just to see if their schedule is okay and everything like that.
Well, that's a common factor in any, but there's always last minute people, right? And I've never been to Europe, so I would love next year to try to. But the problem is I can't go to Europe without taking my wife, so it's a little complicated. So, but I would love to be able to come to something like that. That sounds like that's pretty fascinating, and especially the venue. I can't imagine holding 1,000 people in a venue, something like that. I thought 700, 800 was big, and I know San Francisco and a few other WordCamps are bigger, and I'm actually thinking about Miami next year. I may want to make it make it smaller because there's certain things that we want to do, and once you get to be so big, we don't want to lose the feel of like being able to just hang out and talk to people and not get too overwhelming. I think we had a good balance last year, so it kind of depends on the menu that we find and if everything's the right fit. But that's great. I'm sad that WordCamp Europe doesn't have, or may not, probably doesn't have streaming on it. So, I mean, it'd be great if it did. I haven't heard anything, but if it doesn't, that's the only downside of it. There's so many people over here that love to have that experience and what a WordCamp outside their country, especially outside the United States, feels like. So, but I look forward to the videos, though. So, videos I've seen so far are fantastic.
Yeah, videos are coming for sure. Streaming, I kind of.
Oh, it's so hard, right?
Yeah, I kind of want to imagine, people, for example, in San Francisco, watching the live stream for day one, which starts at like 10 a.m. or something like that, which is about midnight for San Francisco. So it would be quite interesting to pull an all-nighter in the States just to watch the WordCamp.
That's interesting. That is a good point. Once again, David's not thinking about time zones, but yeah, and that's the reason why I'm like you go to bed, you wake up, and you miss some things on Twitter. That's another reason why I got the WPArmchair up, because at least you can go back and see what you missed, and you're not missing anything. But I still, if you guys do live streaming though, I would stay up for it, sure. I got nothing else better to do. I have no social life. I'm married with 3 kids. It's not. I don't have friends. It's okay.
Oh, come on.
No,
don't go there.
No, you're right. My therapist said I should keep things positive. But that is fantastic, and I really hope everything goes off well for you guys over there. It's going to be exciting for you.
How about San Francisco? Last year we met at San Francisco and we spent a few evenings there. What do you think about that?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome seeing you in the flesh.
Yeah, right.
You look at me and go, okay, he could lose a few pounds, but that's okay. But yeah, it was a great time, and we hung out in some sort of taco place. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
So I'm sorry. What's your question? I'm getting off track. This is why I don't do Apple keynotes.
Oh man, it would be
San Francisco. So are you going to be there again this year?
Yeah, most likely, yeah.
Great. Well, yeah, because I was actually surprised. I guess I'm actually taking part in the they're doing a new thing in San Francisco where I guess they're having the, correct me if I'm wrong, or if this has changed, but I think they're having the Contributor Day on, oh God, where are they having
Monday,
it?
I think. It's
Monday, yeah.
Yeah, it
I
should
was
be
going to say
Contributor
Friday,
Day.
but it's not Friday. There's Saturday, and I think the keynote, Matt's keynote is on Sunday, I'd like to say. And then they have a Contributor Day on Monday. And I think part of the Contributor Day on Monday, if they're even calling it that, is also includes the a WordCamp element. So there's also going to be WordCamp organizers there having discussions, and I'm excited to be part of that. And I'm really glad they did it this year in this official capacity, because I think it makes the most sense to have something like San Francisco. I think we do need to have WordCamp organizers, as many as possible, together in one place to talk about some issues, and I'm really excited to hear about that. I'm sure Andrea and everyone else is going to make it really productive, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the conference as well, because I don't go to too many WordCamps, so it's nice to see some people over there. But I know they sold out first wave, so anybody who still wants to go is, if they really want to go, I guess they'll have to keep an eye on the schedule or on the next ticket release. Found that surprising.
Yeah, there are a bunch of discussions related to the to merging WordCamp San Francisco with the so-called community summit that happened, I think, 2 years ago, or yeah. So yeah, what's your stand about it? Like, some people are quite happy because they don't have to pay flights twice and everything. Others find it too exhausting to be able to pay attention for 5 full days if you attend different things. Especially if you're a volunteer or a co-organizer, it's going to be way more than 5 days, and it's going to be quite exhausting. But still, it might be pretty convenient for someone to just take a week off from work and just travel there. And what do you think about picking the location, being San Francisco there? Because it's a bit tricky. Like, it's still the the WordCamp of the States, because it's the first, and it's math and automatic there, and like everything like that. On the other hand, it's quite expensive in San Francisco, and yeah. So what's your stand about that?
I think they're doing a good job. I think it's the better. I think it's I think I agreed with. I think it was either Andrea or Jen who said they're kind of opening it up a little bit more to the community. The community summit, I think, was an invitation only type of thing. So I agree with the overall thought of having it more open and available. I don't think it's always anything in San Francisco is going to be expensive, and it is tricky. It's easy to say, and it is well deserved to say, wow, that's expensive. But I think what they're trying this year makes more sense, and I think they're going to learn and see what the pros and cons are of it. I know they're providing travel assistance. They opened up travel assistance to those who would find it difficult. So I know they're providing at least, I don't know much other than what's been talked about publicly on the make.org website, but I know that they're providing at the very least, discounted hotel rooms for those who qualify or those who applied, or maybe even, or even better accommodations than that. And I think people are staying in, same hotels, so there's also, everybody's more or less together. I think that's an excellent thing, and I think a lot more people are going to have are now able to make it to San Francisco with that provision. Now, not everybody can come, and I think I know that there's there's a certain limit of how many people can come on the Monday, because they're having it at the automatic offices, so space is finite there. I think they're going in the right direction, and I'm looking forward. I'm excited to see the organization that's gone into it this year from a WordCamp organizer's perspective, and I'm looking forward to all the interaction. And there'll probably be, just like anything else, there's probably going to be lessons learned coming from it too, both positive and constructive. So I think it's a good move.
Yeah, I do agree. Like, from European perspective, I think that tickets last year were about $1,300.
Yeah.
Just the plane ticket. So like going twice, if you have to go to both events, is going to be not much cost effective. So yeah.
Yeah, it's also and I mean it's a there. I mean, what else can you do? I mean, there is a realism to the fact that automatic offices are in San Francisco. San Francisco WordCamp does make sense to do certain things. So I think everybody kind of understands that no matter where you pick on a globe, to have something like Buddy Camp, for example. Not too many buddy camps exist, but I picked Florida. I picked Miami because I'm a Miami organizer, so I know some people would love to do Buddy Press, but there's a trip to Miami. It's in the U.S. So you can't please everybody, but at the same time, I think a lot of people understand. And who knows? And I think if people follow, there's going to be so much notes, so much maybe even video coming from what's going to be happening there that people who may not be able to go for whatever reasons should be able to catch up pretty well. So I really and there is a strength and a advantage to getting in together in one room once in a while. So I'm going this year, like I said, and hopefully can keep going next year. I mean, San Francisco, it's mainly for the community aspect of things is why I'm going to San Francisco. I went the first time just for the just to say I went, but it's the community thing that was half the reason why I'm coming again this year.
Absolutely, yeah, couldn't agree more. And last week we had a new major release with a pretty major number, WordPress 4.0. So how do you like it so far? Did you let me come again, once again, 4.0. Go do the finger thing. Yes.
.0. How do I like it? Oh yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. It's changed my life. No, that's not. Let me try that again. Actually, it's actually nice. And I wasn't one of the ones expecting anything just because of it was called 4.0. I think you and I know for a while how version numbers work, and I'm on board with that. And as I was showing it off to my meetup group, and there were some people who appreciated the finer details. So it fits well, I think, with the Apple keynote or the Apple thing that's happening later on today, where well, maybe not too much, because we are expecting something radical, I guess, with the Apple stuff, but or at least something different. But there's also maybe in the general public an underappreciation of iteration and refinement. Everybody wants to have the next big thing that's going to wow them, and sometimes the best thing for you is just to clean up the little things. And I know WordPress 4.0 under the hood had a lot of tweaks and improvements to its performance and just a lot of cleanup code. And the features I kind of appreciated the most are still probably the most visual. Like I appreciated the grid view in the media library. I appreciated I just was showing a client the other day how the embedding now is especially with YouTube is you have that preview in the YouTube now in the WordPress editor, and that he thought it was pretty nice. And I kind of appreciated the new editor that sticks to the top, I guess, the sticky editor, so that you can continue to scroll and still address your content. And it took me a few minutes to get used to it, and but now I think it's one of probably the better features of the latest release. And I think Helen has did a great job as the lead developer on this project, and she and all the other people deserve a round of applause for that effort.
Yeah, totally. Truth to be told, I'm mostly dealing with backend development, so I'm not easily impressed by most of the UI features, but some fine-tuning at the media library, the sticky editor, as you called it, it's quite good. It kind of reminds me of Gmail. When they put the search bar on the top, it was fixed, and when you're scrolling, you just have a lot of wasted space on the top, which I really hate, especially if I'm on a 11-inch notebook. Yeah, it's just useless. I mean, it's worst UX decision, but they keep going down. So also the plugin icons are also quite amazing. Like, it just makes more sense when you search for new plugins. It's kind of better organized. So yeah, it's definitely great working in that direction. Not to mention the accessibility improvements, which are quite brilliant, and especially since I'm in Bulgaria, the fact that you have a language picker now when you install WordPress, it's
yeah,
really
that's right. Yeah, I totally forgot about that, and because because I'm English all the time, right? So yeah, they did a real good job of that. I think Nathan said, oh, I forgot the percentages, but it was like the number of people using WordPress that aren't in English. Whatever number he said, it was a staggering number. I mean, it was, I can't remember what it was, but it was a staggering number. So it just made sense that they added that language picker in the beginning. And I guess it may not have been easy, because, like, how long have we been using WordPress where the installation hasn't changed, really?
Yeah.
It hasn't really changed much since I first started using it. And I think if you're going to add anything, the language picker is a no-brainer. Yeah, and hopefully this is going to spur further growth in the non-English parts of the world that are using WordPress. One less barrier to entry.
Okay, back to the business aspect, to the freelance. Do you have any tips that you can share with other freelancers related to whether your business experience, or from a marketing perspective, building websites, or from a technical standpoint, some tips that you can share with other freelancers or small agencies growing out, just to make their business more successful, whether it's communicating with clients, getting back to them, breeding leads, or anything related to that, or might be BuddyPress specific, whatever you pick.
The one piece of advice that I probably could give is that, I mean, I'm nowhere near the best developer. I'm nowhere near the best or even a good marketing person. But I think one of the big reasons why I was I'm doing full-time development right now and have enough work to keep me busy until the end of time is that I found a niche that not too many people were jumping on board with, and that niche was BuddyPress. So, I mean, I was working with WordPress, and I saw BuddyPress. I saw the birth of BuddyPress necessarily, and it caught my eye and interest a couple of years ago before it even became an official 1.0 product. And I was preaching I was an evangelist of BuddyPress before it became 1.0. So when something like this happens, or when BuddyPress or something like that comes into the picture, I was, I guess, smart enough at the time to realize that, wow, this could be something big. And it took a risk. There was no guarantee, and today it's the popularity. It's growing, but I mean, it's not. I don't know if it competes with WooCommerce in terms of like how many users and all of that. But I got in on the ground level, and so eventually I talked enough about BuddyPress, I blogged enough, I tweeted enough, and most people sees me now as the BuddyPress guy, or a BuddyPress guy, or something like that, which is fine because they either. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and it's either they see me as the BuddyPress guy, the WordCamp Miami guy, or the guy that does crazy tweet storms during WordCamps. And why in the hell am I following this guy? So, but anyway, it's good to be known by something, and the more niche something is, the more demand. As demand increases, the more often you're going to be able to be called upon for something. So I was very fortunate enough that BuddyPress demand has increased. There aren't very many good or at least well-known BuddyPress developers existing, and as of right now, there's not a good way to search for them. It's usually word of mouth, which is how I usually get most of my business. So I think that in your business, especially if you're a single freelancer, is that if you are finding yourself if you're the kind who likes to learn, but you're also finding yourself trying to find your place in the WordPress or the development universe, trying to find your spot in things, try to find one of these niches that exist, and it could be in e-commerce, it could be BuddyPress, it could be WordPress multi-site, it could be scaling websites and that sort of thing. Once you become at least a respected, not respected member or even expert in that field, people will find you, and you can market yourself as such. And I think that's a better way, kind of like how themes stand out today, right? You know, you create a generic blog theme, unless there's something really special about it, it's very hard for that theme to stand out. I think it's the same thing with freelancers. There's so many people today that say they're doing WordPress development. You know, there's a chunk of those people that don't do it well, we know that, but you know, just because they just know that WordPress is the next big thing and they just want to say they're a WordPress developer. But there are good WordPress developers out there. And I think that if you pick one of these niches, then you have a better chance of standing out. You know, find a way to stand out, I guess. That's what I'm summarizing. Find a way to stand out. I could have said that in 6 sentences.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice, actually. So I really couldn't agree more. It's being able to stand out, especially with WordPress. Nowadays, I'm seeing like probably hundreds or maybe thousands of people who label themselves as, you know, WordPress experts, specialists, gurus, ninjas, and everything like that. And they can, you know, just assemble plugins or something like that, which is not necessarily bad, but it's really hard to just be able to identify people who do, you know, plugin installation or site setup or customization or just theme development, plugin development, WordPress development. It's like too many WordPress experts labeled out there, so it's really hard to stand out. And I'm just going to mention a book that I recently listened to as an audio book, The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing by Auris and Jack Trout. It's just outstanding. It's more of a product-based book, but still services and brands are covered. And what you actually said is like try to be the first in a category, or try to branch the category into subcategories and be the first there. And like these are 2 or even 3 of the immutable laws of marketing, which is completely like being one of the first in a specific niche, establishing yourself as an expert in specific niche. It's really great, and it's being able to be found when people look for someone with your expertise, which is just pretty awesome. So last words before we wrap up. Anything else you'd like to tell the viewers, or anything that I forgot to ask you?
No, I can't think of anything really. I think you know, my world is kind of focused on WordCamps and BuddyPress. It's like, I'm not a complicated guy. I really hope that if anybody from Europe or outside the U.S., first of all, if you come to WordCamp San Francisco, I'd love to say hi. Also, if you do BuddyPress work outside the U.S., let me know. I'm always want to be aware of the people that work on BuddyPress, because I do get requests from time to time that I can't handle, or I'm not the best fit for. So, and it goes for design work too. You know, designers. I think there's more of a need now than there was before about social design and the user experience when you're dealing with communities and stuff like that. And hopefully these trends will continue, and we'll do those in such a way where, you know, it's going to benefit a lot of developers, not just me and you, but, you know, everyone across the globe. And I really look forward to talking with more and more people that aren't in my backyard, because I think that's a good exposure and a good experience to have that, to be able to be exposed to different ways of thinking and different time zones. So,
yeah.
3 a.m. in the morning. Yay!
Okay, well, I guess that's all, folks.
Yeah, that's. And I look like Porky Pig, so it kind of fits right there. Yeah, except for the nose, though. Man.
I'm not quite sure what I am now. You know, maybe Duff Duck or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, if anybody has any, like, I know, like WP sessions. You know, for people outside the U.S. who maybe more isolated. There's great things that are out now, like WP Sessions, and I know the, oh my God, I forgot the name of it. The WP Sesh, right?
WordSesh.
Sorry. Yeah. So and that's why I like the live streaming too, because these people that are in more isolated parts who don't get to have 3 or 4 WordCamps appear around them within driving distance or a short plane ride, they can listen to these live streams. So I hope people are taking advantage of those live streams and those tutorials and those videos and online conferences and everything. And if anybody ever wants to chat or have a Buddy Pass question, they can reach out to me on davidbisset.com or Dimension Media on Twitter. So.
Great. Thank you, David. It's Mario Peshev here, and we're wrapping the WordPress Developers, Google Plus, Hangouts, whatever community it is. Our community.
I don't know where I am.
Yeah, right. You know, it's a bit complicated. So our community is about 4,600 people strong. We are slowly moving towards the 5,000 people, which is pretty awesome, I think.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, thank you, David, for joining us, and I'd be happy to meet you in San Francisco. Since you gave a few tips about people outside of the States, I'd also like to remind that there's a WordCamp Europe at the end of this month, 27th and 28th, with Contributors Day on 29th at Sofia, Bulgaria. So everyone who hasn't heard about it, feel free to reach out to me at No Fear Inc. with _ on Twitter, or we actually also launched support chat on Devrix.com. On my company, we have a couple of people who are monitoring the chat and helping everyone who's about to come, asking for flights, accommodation, or everything around that. So just don't hesitate to write us back, and we'd be happy to help. And hope to meet you in San Francisco too if you're coming. Bye-bye.
Thanks for having me on. It was awesome.
It was a pleasure. See you soon.
All right, sir. Is there a final link or something that I want to post it? I think I'll post it after the Apple crap because I don't think anybody's going to pay attention.
Feel free to mention it to the video now, just to have it at the end.
So the video is the link that's in my browser now, then?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. No problem, sir. Well, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. And if there's anybody pings with questions that I might miss, please send them my way. So.
Cool.
Now I gotta go. I gotta see if I can fit 2 hours worth of work in before I have to stop what I'm doing.
Oh well.
I can't stay focused. But thanks again, sir. Have a good one.
Cheers. You too. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.